All right. Welcome everybody to the June 2021 edition of the PRA's meeting in place. But we'll get to that at a later point. I am Anthony, KE7OSN, the chair of the board. Going some way around the Brady Bunch screen here. Ted.
I am Ted, W7RTM, Club Secretary.
Olin.
I'm Olin, WA7YXY.
Mike.
Mike, W7RIS, Corvallis.
Andy.
Andy, W7AAU, Treasurer.
And the other Andy, who's muted.
Yeah, I just saw that. Andy, AA780, outside of Philomen.
Paul.
You didn't go for a hat trick on Andrews? What the heck?
Paul, KJ7BFQ, between Roseburg and Winston.
Annalise.
I'm Anna, NH6Z, and I am in scenic Lebanon.
Our other Andrew.
Drew, W3HES, and I'm coming in from Albany.
Benton.
Hey, good evening. November X-ray 7 Oscar here, Benton, up in Tigard.
And it sounds like you got either an Aussie or a Kiwi on the other end there. Joe.
Hi, Joe, K7BIK, Corvallis.
All right. Welcome, everybody. So we'll start off with the secretary's report. Ted. You're muted.
Good thing my ears weren't muted, and then I heard you say that I was muted. Anyway, I sent out the minutes for May's meeting middle of last week. If anybody had the opportunity to read those, if there was any additions, deletions, please let me know. W7RTM@ARRL.net. Thank you.
Thank you. Treasurer's report. Andy.
Report. On June 19, our OSU checking account was $2,183.70. Our savings account was $1,481.02. So our total OSU bank account is $3,664.72. We had $235 being held on deposit in our PayPal account. We have $0 in our Square Up account. And we have cash $46.65. Total monies owned by the club is $3,946.37.
All right. Thank you, Andy. So kind of one of the first things on the list that I have is the potential return to in-person meetings in the near future, maybe as early as next month. So Andy, you had the discussion with Tommy's. You want to go over what their rates are now?
Yeah, Tommy's restaurant is very happy to have us back if we choose to do so. They've had a difficult time financially and have apologized, really sincerely for asking to charge money to rent the room this time. They quoted me $50 for a group of 16 or less, $100 for a group of 17 or more. But they're happy to have us back. And that's all I have to report about that.
Yeah. So part of my understanding is in the past, uh, they've had some sort of fee structure for that room. They have just opted to forego that because we usually spend enough money there anyway. But like Andy said, they got hit hard like a lot of the other service industries. Uh, so, I mean, just doing some kind of guesstimation, I'm figuring if we had our return to our monthly meetings there, we'd probably be looking at somewhere between like $700 to $800 a year that we would be spending on a venue, which realistically for space and everything, that's not unreasonable. The one question I would have for the group is this something that we'd want to pass around the hat during? Well, I think we'd probably still want to do some sort of pass around the hat if anybody wanted to pitch in a few dollars here or there towards that fee at meetings to cover that, so that the club itself wasn't paying out of dues. But so something to consider. And at the rate things are currently going, it looks like we may be back to being able to actually have a group, full-size group meeting in July, at least as an option. So
Can I make an observation?
sure.
It's my personal feeling that if we were to resume our meetings there and pay the fee as necessary, but we showed up and with our normal crowd and purchased meals and left large tips, and then said that we have to limit the number of meetings that we're going to have because of the cost of the meetings. I feel that they would look at the lost business and lost tips on that night when we did not have a meeting because we didn't want to pay a fee every month. My guess is they say, well, wait a minute. You can have the room for no charge like before, because they would miss the revenue they had from all of us. That's just my personal guess that I think we might be able to bargain for that. And also, I would be willing to pay for the meetings just in order to restart our meetings. Right now, we're not contributing any money to the repeater fund. And Chris doesn't want any money from us for some reason. I don't know why. So we're flush right now. We could afford it. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, and I think definitely, I think that, and I think it's one of those things where I think in the going forward that there would be a, assuming that yeah, I think Ben summed up pretty well. I think, right now things are pretty rough, but in the coming months as business gets back to usual, that they may not be in that position to need to be charging for that again. It's so hopefully I think I would be willing to say if and I'm be willing to at least pitch in for a good chunk of the first month or two and see where it goes from there. So I think I think at this point I'm comfortable saying that tentatively have on the calendar that we might be trying to go back to Tommy's here in a month. That said, my plan is to have my laptop and hotspot set up and to do the Zoom thing for those that can't make it out to into Corvallis on a monthly basis. We'll see how that ends up going and what improvements to that setup will be required. I particularly on, I think the audio would be the tough part. So that will be the fun thing to learn, is how we get do audio for the meeting with Zoom and make that all work. Because I think between projector and cameras and stuff, I think that the video side is easier to handle.
I think that's a great idea. We have people maybe who've checked in on the Zoom meetings who would find it inconvenient to come to the regular meeting, and we'd be cutting them out. So putting the two together is just a wonderful idea.
Yep, I think that's been a hope of mine since the first Zoom meeting, is that by the time we got back into in-person, that we'd still retain the virtual component for those. I mean, we've had Paul on here how many times, and we've had I mean, contingent from all over the state and into Washington and California. So we have had attendance that has that would not have been possible without the technology. So I think it definitely is very useful to have that. So yeah, I think pending changes in trajectory, keep that in mind. And Andy, if you're going to be around there anytime in the next couple of weeks, you want to have them pencil us in for July, and hopefully we'll have the state of affairs will be conducive to seeing people in the meet space again.
Yes, I will do that.
All right. So one of the next things I had on my list is the website. So if I can get back to where I was looking at before. And of course, I marked that email as read when I clicked on it just a minute ago, which I had intended not to do so I could find it faster. Here we go. So just over a week ago, William emailed a few of us on the board and saying that he's going to have to step down from being the web admin for the website. And so Chris is working on a revamped, and I think he's got some of it up already, a revamped kind of listing, and I think he's gone with a newer WordPress template for information on the for the repeater listing, and with the idea being that we would kind of separate out the website for the club from the website for the repeaters, at least to the extent of there would be separate pages to help kind of distinguish one, that they're kind of different organizations that share a name, and to help people kind of navigate where the information's at. So I don't know if anybody has a itching desire to run a website. WordPress is one of those things that it is fairly easy to operate if you know what you're doing. And I see that chuckle, Joe.
Yeah.
It looks like you have experience.
No.
But yeah, so at some point, if there is somebody that would like to kind of delve into that. I know Paul some months ago had found a website or a radio club. If I can find that one again. A tool or a package that somebody had that was there for managing clubs, for particularly for radio clubs as a tool for those. And if I can remember where that email was. Ham Club Online is a tool set that lets clubs set up their online presence and manage like dues and stuff, apparently. So something that I've been meaning to look into more at such a time that I actually develop spare time.
Hey, Anthony,
Mhm.
currently Chris owns the address that our club site has been using.
Yeah.
And we need to secure those addresses before we lose them. Have you had a discussion with Chris about that? Will he hold on to the ownership until we can acquire it? Because if he just drops it, we might not be able to use the same name.
So right now he is so he has the so he set up all the repeater stuff is landing on the w7pra.com. So I think at one point he had registered a bunch of like Peak Radio Association and a bunch of other stuff in addition to that call or to that domain. But I think that has been dropped down. I'm not even sure if I don't even remember if the my513.net. So I think right now there is the so my513.net goes to the forums that I'm not sure anybody has used in a long time. And then w7pra.com goes to the WordPress site that Chris has set up for the repeaters. That said, I think the biggest functionality that we would want from that is to get back to where we have the online member registration and tracking.
Chris is using W7PRA, but the club is the trustee for that call sign.
Right. So from the domain name versus call sign, anybody can register any domain name. And so right now Chris is has that domain registered, and I think he just renewed it here not too long ago. So that domain itself is safe for about a year. And so I think the big thing is once we have something functional that can be pointed to, then we can talk to Chris about having having a subdomain or something point off of that to be able. So William's thought was that there'd be like repeaters.w7pra.com that would be for the repeater page, and then club.w7pra.com would be for the club itself. And then if somebody clicked on w7pra.com, it would have like a landing page that would say, click here for the club, click here for the repeaters, or something to that effect. So so if anybody is interested in looking at doing some web development, well, probably by web development, I mean, clicking the install on the WordPress on some stuff. And I mean, I have a handful of VPSs that at least to start with, we could throw some stuff up if somebody wanted to play with that. And then get stuff pointed around.
I have maintained content on a WordPress site. I haven't set up a WordPress site.
I set up a couple of WordPress sites and then had other people do the content because the content is the hard part for me. So I can throw something together in the next week or so. And if you want to, I'll get in touch with you, Drew, if you want to.
I'm game to
Try
talk to you
and-
about that.
Yep. Cool.
So a question, at one time, we bought the license for WordPress for William to use. Do we need now 2 licenses, one for Chris and one for us?
I don't think, because I think the license that we had was for a particular module that was for what we were using for the membership. And I think if we wanted to, I mean, we'd still own the license for that if we wanted to use that particular plugin, or if there was something different that we wanted to use instead. But I think it'd be a good opportunity to look at what those options are, and if and what makes sense if there is a more popular and free extension that provides more functionality and everything. I think that would be a worth considering. I'm especially on the WordPress front. I am much more comfortable with using a set of extensions that are, free, open source, and well vetted, and well used, and well maintained, rather than a couple of obscure extensions that are kind of side pieces that may or may not get fixed when they need to be. So I think those were the two big things, at least for like new business for the club. On the other note, there is the big elephant in the room coming up, and that is that field day is approaching very, very rapidly. So I was going to have Bill send out an email on making sure everybody has the instructions on exactly how to submit their logs and do that, so that the club gets the appropriate credit. That said, I know I've got a couple of friends. One has been a ham for a couple of years, but hasn't really done much with it. And then her fiance is very interested in getting his license. So, and they also happen to have some nice hilltop property outside Summit. So mountaintops in the Coast Range, with a quick deploy and generator already on site for power and AC. So assuming there isn't a fire out there that burns everything down in the next week, that's where I'm hoping to be for the at least for most of field day. Anybody have any other exciting plans other than trying not to melt?
And we're going to be setting up, we've got a new meeting site in the church in Sutherland, and they've got a great big field in the back for, softball and tag football. And so that's where we're going to set up this year.
All right. So I think that's about all I had for the business section of the meeting, unless somebody else has anything else to. All right. That said, I will turn it over to Mike.